Don't need a poop, do you?
Not the moment. Can we start this thing up?
I just started rolling, bro. We're good to go. It is episode 64 of Your House Our Rules. We got some things that we're going to get into today. Fucking before we even get started, though, fucking smash that goddamn like button. Hit the comments. You know, we got some stuff. It's always better if people get involved in the comments. And So subscribe, do everything.
Subscribe.
We're about ready to start.
Subscribe.
Right after this is done, we're about ready to get on some promotion type stuff and hopefully start getting a little bit more views in this bitch, get a little bit more people involved in it. But let's get into our first topic of the day, which is the strikes that are going on in America. So I want to start it out with the Writers Guild, the SAG, which is like the actors, the Guild of Actors or whatever that are on strike right now. As of Friday, they were supposed to meet and start doing their, talks, negotiations about it, and they ended up falling through. But they met with the I might fuck this up, the AMPTP. Let me check. I got it right here.
Yeah, it's
AMPTP, the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, which are basically the big wigs who run everything, do all the productions. They're the money behind everything. And, the crew and the higher ups are having issues, which is where these strikes come from. So they're supposed to talk. Negotiations kind of fell through. But one thing that they were trying to, like the initial, things that they were trying to talk about was that the WGA wanted to get minimal staffing and guaranteed minimum number of weeks for employment, which is a huge issue that they've had with, streaming and stuff like that. Because now that they're not like syndicated television shows, they don't have work that is guaranteed for certain times of the year. So if you're doing like a TV series that's working 24 episodes, that's 24 weeks of employment. If you got something that is streaming and they do 10 episode series of like The Witcher, which we're probably going to talk about a little bit later, those are only 10 episodes, and that you only might work like 8 weeks in that, and then you have to freelance for the rest of your shit. So
low overhead.
Yeah, they're trying to get talking, and it's kind of fucked up because they were talking about the whole scenario, and the producers, the AMTPT, they were like, hey, it's kind of unfortunate that you guys want to do this, because they're pretty open about the fact that they have the money to just wait them out. They've been quoted in saying that we're just going to wait until people start losing their jobs, and they either have to come back or they're going to essentially become homeless. So it's a fucked up scenario that we got working on, and we're also going to tie into it the truckers, the Teamsters going against Yellow or whatever, which is a huge problem for the production line and stuff, and we've already had issues coming since COVID. But let's talk about the writers a little bit. You guys got any comments about the whole scenario and what's going on?
I mean, things have shifted. You've got all these streaming services. You've got all these different ways to, broadcast movies, TV shows, stuff like that. Like, they should have looked at ways to be able to make money,
right,
and basically kind of adhere to the changes that are happening in Hollywood.
So you're talking about the writers? Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I know it's very specific as to what they do. That is pretty much key to what it is that they can make.
Not necessarily, because you have YouTube, and this was something that I was talking about a guy who came in my work the other day, and he said that his wife is an actor, and she's like, it's not as serious as it is. But the thing about it is, we have YouTube channels that are doing basically television productions. Correct. And they're just posting it their own privateer stuff, right, that they're doing online.
A lot of it's becoming independent.
Yeah,
individuals and small groups of people that can basically do this stuff for very little money.
Yeah, because you have it in your pocket at all times.
Correct.
You have the ability to make.
You have the resource to be able to do that.
Semi-quality movies, or just semi-quality streams, just on your phone.
Well, the thing about it is, like you said, it's kind of like the semi-quality. It's not really high production value and stuff like that. It's because they don't have these giant corporations like Disney, which is a big one, or Netflix, that can, pay for them to start doing the stuff that they need to do. Like, when you have just billions of dollars in revenue that you have behind you, you can afford to do a lot more with your shows and stuff like that.
My point.
Plus, you also have YouTube and stuff like that. In order to get into that space, a lot of the guys that are really big on YouTube making their name for themselves, one, they're not getting paid as much as some of these other people's are, but two, you have to be known. You have to be established in that forum in order to make it, or to make it.
Right.
So, and the more and more those applications grow, the harder and harder it is to get into that space.
And I understand that point of it, but and what I was, trying to get at, what I was saying is basically, if you're a writer and you see things changing in Hollywood, wouldn't you want to figure out a way to basically adhere to that change?
Yeah, they should have got ahead of it.
Correct.
Instead of bitching about
Or at least went alongside of it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is what actually has changed though, because TV shows still only had seasons like on regular television, even if it wasn't through Netflix or a streaming service. So what has actually changed to where they don't have a job now for a certain amount of months?
The thing that's changed with it is that no one's really watching network television anymore. When was the last time you guys had a fucking cable box?
No, I don't even have cable. Yeah. But the thing is now, it's the same though, isn't it?
Well, there's some of them that are doing like Peacock, which is NBC. They're doing their own streaming services, but a lot of their stuff that people will get Peacock for is like The Office. Like almost everyone I know who has Peacock is watching The Office.
But The Office was on Channel 5.
Yeah, but no one's going to watch that because they have to watch it with the commercials and they have to pay for television like a cable box, which is like I pay $70 a month for my internet. If I wanted to get cable with that, we're talking about $200. It's like $120 just to get fucking basic television, and like the quality of shows aren't there. But the streaming services have taken over the space in the sense of like good television. There's a lot of bad television on there.
But like Bailey and like I think what you're trying to say, and you're like to your point is, what's the difference between watching a show on Channel 5, 9, 12, 19, whatever, on YouTube TV, on a streaming service versus watching it on a cable box?
There's really no difference, but
so then what's the problem?
I don't understand.
But the thing about it is, there's in television, there's section times that you need to watch that specific show or whatever. No one wants to have like a cable box that you have to pay all this money for to watch like maybe one or two shows when you can just go to the application and watch the one show that you want to watch.
Which is fine though, but like, so what's the issue though? What's the difference between watching that on YouTube TV app or Hulu or whatever versus watching it on a cable box? What's the difference?
There's no difference in watching the actual show, but it's the forum that you watch it, and no one's subscribed to the actual television anymore. They're all on Netflix, which doesn't have any of those shows. Maybe a couple of them are syndicated in, but now you have to fucking pick and choose which specific one you want to go to. And because they are working on those, the shows have they're not long-term syndicated shows. They don't have the budget to invest in something that no one's going to watch because they're not watching through that forum.
Right.
Therefore, they have to go work for these streaming companies to work on the short shows, which makes them not have guaranteed work for as long as it does.
Because it's it's low overhead. It's less production staff.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's going on, and me being a person who is like heavily involved with the media just in general, whether it's music, television, film, whatever it is, like I get it. I can put myself in the standpoint of the writers. At first when I did it, I was like, you guys get paid fucking obscene amount of money, but something like the average salary for a writer in like Hollywood, which is where the huge issue is like $70,000 a year. And if you know anything about the cost of living out there, that ain't shit.
That's nothing.
I honestly thought it was less.
Yeah. So they're trying to get more guarantees for what is going on and do that shit. And another thing that we haven't really quite hit on is the whole thing with AI. And AI is a huge issue. The dude I was talking to the other day, he's like, well, it's just getting to a point where like AI, he's like, it's just going to be the people who fucking, instead of being the people who work as actors or whatever, it's going to be the people who code the AI and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, once AI becomes a little bit more developed, the AI is going to be able to write itself, and there's no need for a human
based
employee.
Upon you and like what your what your whatever is, like Snapchat or whatever, like that little AI bot,
right.
Like it's going to adhere to what you're what you're doing or whatever.
Yeah. Go ahead, Katie.
I've always heard that like they don't want to like continue with the AI, like I don't know, like the creator or something. I don't know.
The writers don't.
Yeah, because
no,
like
the actual creator of AI, one of the first people that developed AI, like was in the forefront of it. Mm-hmm. He's like, don't use AI. AI is bad. But he created it.
I agree
because it can turn to something like dark.
Does he have rationale behind it? Do you guys know his exact rationale behind it? I mean, I can kind of.
It's just because it'll take jobs, it'll take over, which is what it's gonna do, and everybody knew that. But you're the one that fucking created it.
Yeah,
you knew it was gonna do that.
And here's the thing about it that's so scary, and the reason why they want the AIs. One, they're already starting to introduce it into writing scripts, which essentially takes their job away from them. But two, when you're talking about like the actors who joined, I think it was a week or two ago, last time we did the podcast. When they joined, they have this thing where the production companies want to essentially take like a young up and coming actor, actress, and they bring them in and they take like a sample of their face and their persona, and they give them a one-time payment in order to do it, and they're able to use it in any of their productions for whenever, and make as much money as they want to on it, and the other people don't see any royalties in that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like if you can take that to like music on how the record companies do shit. They do that same shit.
And big record companies are highly known for fucking over their people, especially the newer people. Once
TV,
you make a name for yourself,
the TV is just now, or the film and TV is just now doing it. I think is just now starting to have the ability to do what the record companies do. So it just has to come down to people having lawyers and looking over contracts and shit like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing. I find it justifiable that they're striking and doing this whole thing. And then, you know, another thing that I read in the article that I sent you guys this morning was that they're actually directly supporting the Teamsters in the whole yellow thing, not getting their pension and stuff. So they all tie in hand. When it comes to it, you know, you need a bunch of stuff to create the productions or whatever. And in order to do that, trucking is the largest form of shipping in the continental United States, I know. And Yellow, who is the third biggest trucking company in the United States, isn't paying people their pensions, and they're fucking taking out loans of like $500 million, and it's starting to get to a point where like they might go under, and the other companies are fucking looking forward to go under because then they can fucking jack up the price and fucking take all the business because the people do it. And you know, these people unfortunately who've been working there for 40 years, they're not going to get their pension, and that's the issue. That's one of the issues with unions in general. Fucking they have work, they have guaranteed work for you. They're not going to fire you. They have the laws to help protect you. But when it comes down to it, if you fucking you unionize and you go against the people that help pay you and they go under, everyone doesn't get paid. No one gets paid.
If there's no money to pay somebody, then you're not going to get paid.
Well, I thought that they were already bankrupt.
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not bankrupt. They're about to. And actually, the Teamsters are not on strike. They're thinking about doing it, but you know, as we just said, when you have this foreboding fucking disaster that is going to happen, it's like tough to go on strike. You don't want to unionize if you know your company is going to go under and you're not going to get the money that you've worked for years.
Correct, because they're just going to turn around and be like, well, see ya.
And it also, when you're looking at that whole scenario too, this is going to fuck up the marketing chain, or not the marketing, the shipping chain for everyone. It's already been an issue. We've felt it at the work that I'm at ever since COVID, when you know, trucks you saw just lined up for miles outside of the shipping, the what are they called, the docks and stuff like that,
right?
Trying to unload and do and load their trucks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that happened to the cabinet industry too. We were backed up like 30 weeks during COVID. And people were complaining to us about shit being like, so if a cabinet comes in fucked up and they're back that far, it takes fucking weeks to get just one cabinet drawer in. Say a cabinet drawer has a nick in it. And people were complaining to us, and we're like, it's not our fault. Like, we can't do anything about it. That's just it. Nobody's working. Nobody's being able to get shit to where it needs to be.
I work in the office at work, and I've had to have that conversation with people so many times where it's like, hey, for us, it's the big thing was Super Spacer that affected us the most. Excuse me. Super Spacer is essentially this, if you have an insulated glass unit, like all the windows in a modern house or whatever. It's two panes of glass with a spacer, and they seal it with this type of black silicone or whatever. Yeah. Super spacer is something they use. It's more malleable so that you can form it to like shapes. So it's what we use for like, if you have a bay window that's a half moon or whatever, we use it for that. That's been incredibly hard to get. So if someone has like a half moon that they need replaced, we're like, look, the rest of your windows might come in a week and a half, but that specific window might not be here for a month or two.
Yeah. So we just got caught up with cabinet issues, and like people were starting to get really shitty. Yeah. And I was like, man, it's hard to hold my tongue. And the owner of the company that we work for or work through, I was like, hey, you gotta get your customers. You have to explain this. Me and my uncle should not be the one having to explain to the customers that it's gonna be fucking 6 weeks before they get this part in.
And it does. It helps when you tell them beforehand that it's going to happen rather than, them having to wait. Like, I thought this was going to be here in a month and it's been 2. So, yeah, I find also when you're just, honest with people up front, and 2, just honest when you're talking to them. Don't beat around the bush and fucking tell them, like, this, that, and the other happened. Just be like, look, this is the issue that we're facing, and, like, it's affecting everybody. So,
with so many logistics companies, do you think that's kind of hurting the market for trucking companies?
Well, a good person to talk to about that would be my buddy Dalton. He's really big on, trucking because it is such a big shipping thing or whatever that it's not as much of an issue, but I can see how it would be as much of an issue because more competition doesn't necessarily mean fucking...
From what I understand, they're undercutting other companies' prices.
Well, that's kind of what's happening to Yellow right now because, Yellow fucking, they're not going to be able to go... If they go under, they're the 3rd biggest trucking company. Once they're done, then you have all their customers who need to go out to other places, and at that point you can jack up the price.
Correct.
And fucking
that's what happens with any business.
Yeah.
Any business with competition. That's what happens. It's all about, what do we say?
Money.
Hold on. Money.
It's all about money.
Doesn't is it R&L Carriers? Is that who it is? Local, I think they're like up in
TQL.
TQL.
No.
TQL's the big one in Cincy.
No, the trucking company.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I know Yellow's stationed in Nashville, so I see a lot of Yellow trucks.
I think it's R&L, and I think they are either going out of business or have gone out of business, like recently.
Well, because of how...
And they're big here locally.
Because of inflation, everybody has had to jack their prices up, and the people that are littler that have been, waiting to get into the ranks and move up, now they're going to be able to undercut but still have super high prices because Yellow was such a big company that they had to have those inflation rates, and people, I feel like, would just got greedy with the money.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what fucks a company up.
Yeah,
you can't fucking get greedy.
And to go back with what you said, I think some of these
Is that money?
Yeah, money power.
Some of these logistics companies that are popping up everywhere, stuff like that.
I think that has something to do with it.
Because Dalton just moved down to Atlanta and opened up his own branch down there, and that's how much they're expanding. So if this is a smaller company that's coming up and they're essentially taking away business from everyone else, I could see how that would be a bad scenario for everyone else. So I don't know. I really hope that they can figure something out because personally it fucking is going to affect us.
It's going to affect the consumers.
My business
around
here because it's so local to around here.
For sure.
Yeah. So
which sucks.
People at Home Depot and Lowe's, like to get the material in for contractors to do the work, it's going to affect
anything and everything.
Correct.
Your fucking microwave, I'm looking at a microwave. So your microwave that you just ordered that broke down or something like that, it's going to take longer to get there because everything goes through trucking.
What about Amazon? Is that going to affect?
I think Amazon has a separate. I mean, they have their own. They're
their own subsidiary, as far as trucking.
I believe so. But the thing is, when you're talking about it, most of the shipping that they do are from their trucks that come out of their warehouses. So if it's not something that is made in their warehouses or needs to be shipped from one warehouse to another, I think that they have to go through all those other ones.
So it could.
I don't know. They might. That's a good question because they might have their own trucking the company to move from shit from warehouse to warehouse.
Right.
No, I think they do.
To your door.
The big ass Amazon semis, the Prime semis or whatever.
Probably. I would imagine that a place or a company as big as Amazon that is as self-sufficient as Amazon.
But I would assume they outsource something.
I was going to say they do. Well, during Christmas, they outsource to FedEx. FedEx delivers Amazon packages.
The entire Amazon company is built on outsourcing stuff. You can go on Amazon and become a seller and sell your own shit through Amazon. So, that's an interesting question. I wouldn't know exactly how that works, but I'm sure Amazon has structure in place to deal with that.
I've thought about doing that. Fucking making T-shirts and selling them through Amazon, or fucking getting on there and
Etsy.
What's that called?
Etsy.
It's called something. It's all over TikTok. Apparently, people are making buku's money from fucking doing that.
I watched this video the other day that was like, it was side hustles that you can do or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was basically just. It was kind of shady the way they were doing it, but they were basically like, just take this and put it on a fucking T-shirt or this, that, and the other, and sell it on Etsy at fucking 8 times the price. And it was like, well, okay.
But is that going to be sustainable though? Like, are you going to be able to do that for
side hustle?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to do it.
Right, I get that, but like you're spending a lot of time on something like that for, in my opinion, not as many. Well, not as much money.
It's not really a lot of time. All you have to do is make the shirt or make whatever. And
the design
then
or
you
whatever,
and then you take that design and you put it into an application,
Oh.
and they do
So it's
all the selling
simplified
and
for
work.
people
It's
to
all
be able to
through
complete it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all through Amazon. They simplify everything to where it's
See, that's the-
you put it on Amazon and they do all the shipping, all the they keep all your numbers and shit like that.
But you
through
wouldn't be
them.
making all profit by doing
I
that.
think they take a little bit of the
I'm
profit.
sure they take
but
a small percentage.
Yeah, you have to
but-
pay a certain amount of money to get it made.
But if they're taking care of all of that, it's worth the penny to spend.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these companies, the like merchandise and stuff like that, like bring up the Nelk Boys, for example, because they're really big. They make a lot of their money off their merch drops, which are the one-time
Huge percentage.
brand exclusivity that they do. But
Huge
they probably get those shirts made. I don't know. They might have them made in America because they're kind of have a little bit like more of a conservative background to them.
Yeah.
But essentially, you can go over and get some shit for China. You can get 50 T-shirts for like $5, and you can sell each one of those T-shirts for $50.
Right,
So
right.
what is that? $2,500.
Correct.
Right there. So yeah, it's a fucking huge profit that you're making off.
I mean, a lot bigger of a profit than getting it from someone here in the United States. Because like I got T-shirts for my client appreciation party, and it was like $800 for 50.
Yep. The more you get, the cheaper
the dude's
price
like
is.
he lives in Coleraine, like
Yeah.
he owns the company.
It's something It's something that I want to look into for doing merch for us, because I don't even just want to like make merch with just the logo on it. I actually want to make like shirts and like get into like
Right.
that whole fashion
But-
aspect of thing.
yeah.
The thing is, I got a couple people who have reached out to me, but I want very high quality shit. I don't want.
That's my issue too.
I don't want to do just fucking your standard shirt or whatever. I want to do something kind of like Nelk with the brand exclusivity.
Yeah, I
like
mean, you're gonna be you're gonna spend money to do that.
It creates a want for your product.
Correct.
People
I
are
totally
gonna want
agree,
it.
and
Yeah.
I would totally agree with going that route because quality to me is
Quality over quantity.
I
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree.
All the time.
Totally agree.
All the time.
Because you're doing right by your client and your customer,
Yeah.
and
And
giving
a
them
good T-shirt,
and
man.
producing a good T-shirt
And just
for them.
and just circling all the way back down to
Right.
the trucking and stuff like that. Quality over quantity. You
Right.
have these really quality businesses that really take care of their employees, that really get the shit done right. Don't have to worry about going under.
Correct.
So if all these littler companies that are more quantity over quality that are sneaking up,
Well, yeah,
but
because
that's
that-
just because
that-
they're cutting prices.
Yeah,
so
but
much.
they're here today,
but
gone tomorrow.
that comes with greed though. Is the once they get bigger and they're like, oh fuck, I can make this amount of money if I do this. That's what they do.
Well, that's what,
once you start to get big, it's hard to stay humble in any company.
and that's what Hollywood's doing with AI.
yeah.
They're trying to cut their costs now with what they can do and the product that they can deliver by basically getting rid of jobs for all of these other people because they don't care about the individual, they care about themselves.
Yep.
Because to them it's
People
all
are
about
shitty.
it's all about
Money and power.
in the end, it's all
Power,
about
baby.
the dollar bill, y'all.
but I feel like that whole Hollywood situation is crazy to me because it's like if you own a studio and you have all of this below you, wouldn't you want to do what's right for all of them?
Well,
even the staffers.
Well, it just
If everyone's happy
they're
and
just a
making
number,
money,
man.
Yeah, then you start
But
getting
it-
into that whole like these billionaire fucking people who are running the companies and stuff like that. Gets into like the whole mental psychopath type thing. They don't empathize with people. They don't see where they're coming from. All they care about is filling up their pocket.
Yeah, no,
Now-
a psychopath makes a good business owner.
Oh yeah, no, they're everywhere in business, everywhere. But let's get into a little bit before we end this topic because I do want to talk about this is all kind of taking place in Hollywood. So we have seen since COVID, it involves the trucking and stuff like that, it involves the actors and stuff like that, a huge annex away from Hollywood and the LA area in California. And I don't think that this is helping whatsoever because I was reading the article today that they're taking a huge hit, like the LA County and stuff like that. They're taking a huge hit because their main source of income, which is media, is just not working anymore.
nope, they're outsourced. They're
Well,
leaving
because
LA.
people don't have to be in LA.
Yeah.
They don't have to be there to do their job.
No, and we might end up seeing a point where like a big one is Austin, another one is Nashville,
Yeah.
where people are moving to or whatever. Those might start becoming more of the like LA because looking at where I stand from now, I don't see how they can maintain the prices that it costs to live there and all the fucking bullshit that they're going through with their over liberal viewpoints and politics and stuff like that. People, there's like a 40% sales tax or something
Correct.
over there, and like when people are already leaving because of your restrictions with COVID. Mexican beer. When people are fucking already leaving for that, and then all of a sudden your main source of income just is like not working anymore because you're not paying the people what it costs to live in your bullshit ass fucking region.
Yep. You know what's happening too, and this has been happening for the last probably like 4 or 5 years. They got rid of the tax benefit for movies to be made in Los Angeles. So that's why a lot of the movies that you see that are being made more recent than not are made outside of LA.
I think movies nowadays
because they got
shitty.
rid of the tax benefit. I know that for a fact because I'm involved in a television show out in Los Angeles, and I have been for about 10 years. And the guy that is like the director and producer of the show, he told me, he's like, the tax benefits in Los Angeles are basically gone.
Yeah.
So now they're leaving to have to go and produce movies and
Elsewhere.
TV shows elsewhere.
Well, some movies and stuff, they'll go to like other cities to actually record it or whatever, but all the stuff that happens, all the behind the scenes, the production, the post-production, pre-production, stuff like that, it's usually stationed in LA.
Yeah, correct.
Hollywood.
But the actual making, like the where you're actually filming, the location of where you're filming is not in LA as much as it used to be.
I was watching a podcast with Rob Lowe, and he was talking about.
I love Rob Lowe.
I love Rob Lowe. Big dick.
He's awesome. But you should watch the podcast. It's Bert Kreischer's fucking podcast.
I don't
Dude,
like Bert Kreischer,
it's so
man.
good.
I don't pay attention. I mean,
He's not funny.
I
He's
love
that way.
Bert. Love Bert.
He's an acquired taste, but go on.
But I was watching him talk to Rob Lowe, and Rob Lowe was talking about how movies nowadays, it's not like old Hollywood. He's like, I was a part of old Hollywood where the actors were worshipped and like the movies were just better. Like people actually cared about what they were making, and the actor, like when have you seen when have you seen an original movie with like actors that weren't around in like the 80s?
Yeah.
Like Rob Lowe, he's like, there's no new people coming in that are quality like it used to be, which I think that's also hurting just LA in general as well, Hollywood.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people see more benefit and easier, they don't have to deal with the contracts and restrictions of a major production company by doing stuff like YouTube and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Because those people are cheaper.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost them as much
You can
money.
do your own shit at that point.
I mean,
there
like,
are businesses behind a lot of these channels.
Yes,
and stuff
but
like
it's less expensive
he was
for LA and Hollywood to produce stuff now, even though the content's dog shit. It's less expensive than it is.
And they know people are going to pay for it.
Because
because people are stupid. That's happening across the entire country.
Fast 24.
Well,
that's happening across the entire country.
The influencers that are big now are getting cast into big movie roles, but they're influencers. They're not.
It's not quality.
They're not traditionally trained as an actor like DiCaprio and Rob Lowe and.
What influencers do you know that are being cast in like AAA movies?
It's a good question.
I don't know of it.
I don't know the answer to that.
Because I know there's some influencers like Logan Paul's a very good example who have transcended the YouTube influencer.
Well,
he's just a celebrity.
No,
now.
Logan Paul is just a celebrity.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Disney casting Jake Paul. Jake Paul had his own TV show on Disney.
He did,
and it was shitty. He's not a traditionally trained actor.
Yeah.
He was just a social media star.
Keep in mind too,
or Dixie D'Amelio. She is currently in. Filming a movie. I can't remember what the movie's called.
Dixie D'Amelio is another one of those.
But she's just a big TikToker that blew up.
Status.
Yeah, but she was just a big TikToker that blew up.
So they're doing,
and she's not a good actor. Like she's not a good actress.
No. But she's got a face that people want to see.
Yeah, I know, but that's what Rob Lowe was talking about. He's like, there's not any traditionally trained actors that are hitting the scene nowadays. That
it's all fucked up. The whole thing.
They're going for quantity over quality. Basically, they're just trying to push content.
The most amount of people.
They're pushing content.
This specific person is going to get more people in to see our movie than fucking a traditionally trained actor.
Pushing content. That's what they're doing because there's a demand for it. There's a high demand for content.
And if you want to keep doing that, you want good content, it all starts with the writers. So pay your fucking writers.
Right.
Have you guys watched Oppenheimer?
I did.
Did you? Did you like it?
Fuck yeah.
Because I've heard people.
This is what we've been.
Do not like it. No, I've never watched it. I'm just asking. No, I'm just talking about a movie that has been big recently. That people have been saying. I've heard reviews on it that they're like, this movie's so confusing. It's 3 hours long. I don't want to sit through it.
Okay,
I think that a lot
have
of
they
that,
seen a Christopher Nolan film then?
yeah,
I don't know.
That's the point that I was about ready to make. I don't know if that's necessarily that it's not a good movie or the fact that our retention rate has become so fucking minuscule that people just are unable to pay attention
That's
to a
another
fucking
topic.
movie for more than 30 fucking seconds.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah, short-term fucking media
Dopamine,
is
baby,
the
dopamine.
end
Yeah,
all
the
of
dopamine hits.
everything.
You are absolutely hitting the nail on the head, bro.
Nah, bro, it's so dumb. And like someone like I would love to sit down and watch I do it all the time. Fucking sit down and watch all 14 hours of Lord of the Rings director's cut and stuff like that. But that's because I grew up in a fucking society at an age where like I had the analog and moved into digital. I'm able to sit down and pay attention to a movie for fucking 14 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I just haven't watched the
kids
movie.
these days, yeah, it's a lot. But I know you don't like fantasy either. But
No, but I mean, I don't think I could do.
I can't believe you don't like Lord of the Rings.
No, I've never seen one of
that's
those.
What?
That's garbage.
Not even.
No, he doesn't like fantasy. So don't
I
even
don't like
get me
any of that
started.
dog shit.
Oh my
Let's
God.